Thanks, Jovi. Maxime, well, first result, a peaceful draw. But it's so difficult to win against Nepo, especially against his Petrov. What was your strategy before this game?
Yeah, everybody tries something. In the candidates we could see. I think Prague almost got somewhere at some serious chances. Hikaru tried to hit him on another side, and I also tried, but... Yeah, it's not easy.
Is it the only way to try to find some long, sharp line and test his memory, basically?
It's not the only way, but it feels like the most obvious way because there are so many options. I thought, knight bd2 is not one of the most played, and it's quite sharp. If you don't remember something with black, of course, it's tough to go for this position or with your king open and so on, but Jan was once again up to the task. Yeah.
You've probably spent so much time on this one. Tell us a bit about the ins and outs of this position. You mentioned knight bd2.
Yeah, knight bd2, of course, not the only way. You can go knight c3. I think you can even go some weird moves like g3 or like all sorts of ways, or bishop e3 first. Mm-hmm. But anyway, knight bd2 was my focus for this game. And yeah, rook 8 is not the only option, of course, for black. Bishop e6. But then bishop e6 is not like as convincing, maybe. Rook 8 really is. Knight h4, I remember some line. This is actually a fun line. So you go knight e4, yeah, pawn takes, rook takes, bishop takes, queen d4. Then you give up a piece, but of course at the end you...
Take on b7.
Yeah, g3, queen e4, queen b7. Now I think, if I remember, yeah, if you go h6 first, you get rook e1, so bishop h3, you go queen e8,
no,
h6.
Just h6 with the idea g5, yeah?
Yeah, it's not the end. And maybe we're still trying with white, like you can take with a pawn now. I remember it ends in a draw, but it's a bit shaky for black.
On g2. Yeah, this looks dangerous. I have to say, if I was playing with either color, black or white, I would be extremely afraid to enter this type of lines.
But yeah, and like, of course, after queen c2, there's also f5, which is not so clear. You cannot play after knight h6 because then your knight cannot come back to d7.
Got it.
So I go knight f3. I mean, after a3, if you go f5, I go knight f3 back, and it's a bit unpleasant.
No more knight coming to d7,
yeah.
d5. Makes sense.
But here it goes f3, queen d8, some g3, some randomness you can take on g3 and so on.
Absolutely. And I think it was at this moment where he started spending some time. Bishop to e3, queen f6,
yeah,
and queen to e4.
I think, yeah, he was just trying to remember the accurate way. But he did.
It seems like he did.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys were still blitzing.
Yeah.
Out.
Also, like because I think he also spent some time because king g8 also looks tempting, but yeah, knight c7, king f8 until queen h7, and suddenly now that's not fun. So of course, Jan was not careless. Yeah, I looked at some knight h8, but of course doesn't work. So knight e5. I mean, and yeah. Like here, there are already many ways for black, but of course, maybe it's also possible to defend the pawn on c5, play with the 3 pawns. But yeah, I mean, I remember that the computer didn't enjoy too much with white because, of course, with opposite colored bishops, like your pawns are not going really anywhere.
Yeah. Well, very well played game, of course. You see this infusion of new players in the tournament. How do you feel playing against this new generation? Are you looking forward to it? Do you know them or just starting to get to know them and their styles? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very interesting because, I mean, of course, I've played some players, some younger players like Richard, like Dubov, like Duda, and so on. In Grand Chess Tours, but it's the first time that we have like what it seems like a solid younger generation. Yes. Of course, Alireza already feels like a veteran of sorts, but he is more or less their age. Yeah. But he's a veteran of Grand Chess Tour events, like because you arrived around the same age as Magnus did back in the days. And of course, now when you play one top opponent, you play him 10, 15, maybe sometimes 20 times a year. So
you get to know them very well.
Yes. So hopefully that's what's gonna happen with those three guys, and Arjun also is not far. But the question is whether I will stay. So of course that's my mission this year, to be able to stay competitive.
Well, I'll let you go and get ready for that and get ready for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you, Cristian.
Maxime.
Thank you, Cristian and Maxime.